The last part of your lab this week requires you to develop an idea or theme for a series of 6 experimental letter forms. And the idea is that the letters will all have a similar feel to them, so they look like they're part of a typeface. But you just have to demonstrate 6 of the letters in lowercase form. So I've got 3 examples here, and I think the best strategy is just to play and create your own thing. But here are a few techniques to maybe help you get going. The first one is putting a pattern fill inside a letter form. So the first thing I'm going to do is create the pattern fill. So I'm going to take my rectangular tool and I'm going to create a little rectangle. And then I'm going to zoom in so you can see that. And I want to round the edges, so you've got the ability to edit any of the shapes that you create in your shape menu here. And these little target marks inside allow me to create rounded edges. So that's it's a really nice feature. And then I'm going to use my black arrow tool and let me see. Yeah, maybe I want even a little rounder. Yeah, and I don't want to make it look like a little pill. All right, something like that. So then I'm going to create a pattern. So what I'm going to do is just use my Option or Alt key. I'm going to click and drag. And with my Smart Guides turned on, remember your Smart Guides are down here under Smart Guides. Make sure they're on, because this is really helpful when you're needing to create a pattern. And you'll see that when I click on the Option or Alt key and I move it, then it helps me gauge so that I can create a really nice pattern on the fly. So that's a really efficient way to work. I'm going to create one more there. And then when I've got those done, I can draw a box around all of them to select. And then I'm going to use my Alt or Option key and I'm going to drag them down. And then I'm going to place them like so. And I'm just going to repeat that. I'm going to select both again, both rows, and then I get my my final placement. Okay, so there's my pattern. I also want to rotate the pattern a bit, so I'm going to draw a box around all to select it, and then I'm going to tilt it a bit, and so I get something like that. Okay. The next thing is to grab my type tool, and I'm going to lay down a letter. And I have my less script already selected, so I'm going to hit the Shift key, so when I stretch it to make it big, it's a proportionate resizing. I don't want my letter forms to be too squished, or, I just want them to be as the font would render them, all right? Make it a little bit bigger. So I've got my letter form. I'm going to put my pattern inside there. So what I have to do, the first thing is I have to create my outlines. And then I'm going to select my pattern. So I'm going to draw a box around the entire selection of my dots. And then all you need to do is have your swatch window opened, and you're just going to drag your pattern and drop it into your swatch. And then I can see my new swatch is generated. And then I can select my letter A, and then all I have to do is hit this to apply my new pattern. Now when you apply your pattern, depending on the style of the pattern, then it will repeat, but there might be a gap here. So it could be that if I am being very particular, I might want to go back and, maybe I want to make another row of my dots, or I need to adjust my pattern, and then I can, because you can see I've got 2 patterns already here. So sometimes you have to play with your artwork and then create a new pattern if you're not happy with how it maps out in your shape, which is my letter A. But I'm just going to leave it like that for now. What I can also do is go to my layers, and there I can see that there's my letter form. I'm going to click on that, and then what it basically does is it will select the pattern, and if I have that selected, then I can use my arrow key, and you can see how I can move my letter around and it kind of repopulates how the pattern comes out. Okay, so the pattern is there, and I have something like that. Now, and I can also move it just using my black arrow key, and I can position it. All right, so you can, and now it starts actually, you have to kind of place it, and sometimes you have to play with your pattern to get it the way you like. Okay. So I'm going to go back, just do Control-Z until I get, I think that was my original, let me see, yeah, something like that. Now, when I click off it, you might go, that is a little abstract looking, so what could I do to make it look more like a letter A? And I think the simplest thing is to just put a stroke on it. So I'm going to select my letter form, I'm going to make this active, and I'm going to just apply my orange line. And then, when I click off it, I can, it really helps enhance the legibility of the letter, because an important part of this lab is so that you see and identify each letter, not be guessing what it is. And I'm just going to refine the line a bit, and then I think that's a better looking letter form. So there's your letter form filled with dots. The second technique is leafy letters. So I basically use the pencil tool, and the pencil tool is located somewhere, oh here it is, under the under the type tool. It's on here on the left, about the 6th tool down, so there's my pencil tool. And again, there's various tools here, so I'm going to just put them out so I have them easily accessed. The pencil tool is pretty intuitive. You can just select it, and I did 2 strokes to make the letter A. I kind of did that as my first stroke, and I'm going to use my eyedropper tool to pick up my green. So I have that, and then I want to make the second part. I want to use my pencil tool, and I want to create a shape. Now, it doesn't look very good, but the nice thing about the pencil tool is it comes with the smooth tool. So I can just take my cursor and I can go over these points, and I can create, I can kind of refine the shape. And I can also, work with my handlebars, because this is a vector program, right? And I can create the kind of shape that I want. And I'm going to, again, use my eyedropper tool, pick that. Now, because I dropped the color, it also picked up the stroke weight of that shape. So that's kind of a nice thing. If I want to adjust that on my own, I can do so. I'm just trying to get some kind of a shape here. It feels, yeah. So I can use my white arrow tool, and maybe I'm going to go get this point I need my pen tool, and maybe I'm going to just edit out a few of those points. And so you can kind of fashion your letters using some of the tools that we've gone over in this class. And then the idea is to get a skeleton kind of situation with your letter. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so I have a better chance of seeing it. Something like that. And then once I have my line, then I can go and I can apply a floral brush stroke. So I'm going to go get my brushes, and you can access your brush library just by selecting, these different brush packages that come with your system. And so I think I'm just going to select that, select both parts, 2 parts there. And there is a leafy version of the brush, which is down here. I'm just going to apply that. So there's all of a sudden my letter A. All right? So you've got, the idea is that you can create your strokes and then apply a brush stroke to them. The last example is Citrus Swirl. And essentially, I just combined an existing letter face and I embellished it with a brush stroke. So that's a strategy you might want to try.